The reason why I decided to become a film director when I had no education and no formal or past experience in doing this is because I had 17 years prior to making this big decision, I had kind of an aha moment. And that aha moment happened one night with a group of friends in Miami, where I had this experience of feeling so deeply connected to the people around the table. And I could not, I wanted to bottle it and take it home and always feel like that for the rest of my life. And so I started analyzing, like, what is it that's happening right now? This is amazing. Like, what is the same and what is different? And so what I realized was, what was the same is all of our parents were from a Spanish-speaking country. And what we were talking about, the quality of the conversation were these Enya moments, except for that, because they were so personal, we would kind of go on and like kind of talk in our parents' Spanish accents and just like recount stories from our childhood that were very Enya stories, but that I didn't really have a classification for. And I realized the one thing that was happening was we were all telling Enya stories and sharing Enya moments. And it was the first time in my life that I connected these two parts of myself. And I felt whole and connected in a way that I had never felt in my life. And driving home like 2 a.m, I think, on I-95 back to Coconut Grove, which is where I lived, I made a vow to myself, I'm going to make a movie about this. I have to give this feeling to other people. Other people need to feel the depth of connection that I feel now, because I want to live in a world where people feel this way. Because I think it'll be a better world than the world that I live in now, because I feel better and I want other people to feel this. I was 26 years old when I made that decision, and it took me 17 years to act on that decision. And I will tell you that for 17 years, I grappled with doubt in my idea, doubt in my capability, every version of doubt that I could experience. I feel like I experienced until one day I just, I realized I was one of those people that talked a lot about something. And it's like my least favorite personality trait in myself and in others. So I totally recognize that I have it, right? Which is talking about something I'm going to do one day, someday, but never do. And I probably had that because there was one thing in my life that I was talking about and not doing until one day on January 1st, 4 years ago, I totally nerd out on goals. I'm a total type A person. And every January 1st, I'm sitting at my dining room table writing my goals for the year. And I was going to put it down for the 17th time. And I just was writing it like, I can't believe this. Like, I don't even believe it. I don't even believe, like my own inner voice, right? You're not going to do this. And I made a vow to myself. And this is like, you can really get into my mind and the type of person that I am. When I shared that the vow that I made to myself was, you can't write this again for the 18th time without doing something. And the idea of not having this be something that I was going to do one day, someday, I'm telling you, like that made me feel so important that sometime off in the future when life was easier and the circumstances were perfect and like, you know, the moon was in Aquarius or whatever circumstances that I felt was perfect, I began to rely on that as the thing that was making me feel more important and better about myself. And the idea that I would take it away from myself was too much to bear. I know that that's so funny to hear, but I said, okay, so I'm going to do it. And again, I'm a list person. If I say this will happen, I'm an executor. So I write down all the different ideas I have, all the people I'm going to call, and all the things that I'm going to do. And I had one thing on the list. I could not think of anything else because this was not my field. It was not my expertise. 6 months prior, I had a play date with a woman that said that she was the next door neighbor of a documentarian here in Denver. That was the only thing I could think of that I could do. And it was like embarrassing, right? So I wrote it down. Call Claire to get her next door neighbor's phone number, okay? And so I had to wait to call her. I called her at the next day or the next like work day or whatever. I called her the next opportunity that I had. And I said, I don't have a lot of time, but what's your next door neighbor's phone number? And I promise I'll call you back to tell you why, whatever. So I called him. I couldn't get on his calendar for like 6 weeks because he was making a whole nother movie. And I was fine with it. I was patient. I had made my declaration. And I was like, the next thing will come to me, right? But it like never did. So I waited 6 weeks and I did a lot of writing, but I didn't really know what there was to do. So then we had the meeting and I dropped my daughter off, both my kids off at daycare that day. I dressed up and was getting ready for the meeting. And I got a message on my voicemail while I was at their preschool. And the message was, I'm so sorry, I won't be able to meet with you. I'm actually going out of town and I don't know when I'm going to be able to talk to you. I had waited 6 weeks for this call and I said, and he goes, even, this is what his biggest mistake was, and especially for my personality, was he said, even if you came, I'd only have 10 minutes. And it was like, okay, I have 10 minutes. So I got in my car and I started driving and I called him and I said, Henry, I'm on my way. I'll take the 10 minutes. And I hung up the phone and I showed up and I pitched my idea and I probably cried and I just with all the passion that I could have. And I just said this story needs to be told. And 45 minutes later, his secretary was like, what are you doing? You have to leave. I don't know if he was on his way to the airport or whatever. And he said, how bad do you need to do this? And I said, Henry, if it's the last thing I do, this is what I will be doing. So that's how important it is, okay? And you're going to help me or somebody else, but this is going to happen. You don't know me. And he said, well, okay, let's talk again. And then we just kept talking and talking and talking. And it was almost a year before he came on as my producing partner. And I waited and I was patient. And I got my first interview with Edward James Olmos 10 months later. And I think I know that interview, he realized, okay, this girl is serious, right? And I had no team, no crew. I was a mom. I probably was still breastfeeding for all I know. I mean, seriously, right? Still making mushy food. And I'm trying to get an interview with, key Latino people that were coming to Denver. I had no idea what I was doing, but I was finally doing that thing that was in my heart for all that time. And so I didn't care how long it took me. I was willing to do whatever it took.